Hello, guys. Good morning. Welcome to my very first podcast on my own. Well, without Robbie, guys, without Robbie. And I have here a very special guest. Her name is Venetia, and I wanted to give her the opportunity to introduce herself to you guys.
Well, hello. This is my absolute very first doing this. So excuse the jitters a bit. I'm Venetia, and I attend Grace Community Church here in Lathrop
Yes.
with Joy and Robbie. And my husband is the pastor. Shocker.
She's our pastor's
And I
wife.
am his wife.
And also our praise and worship
Oh,
leader.
I am.
So you can't forget that.
Yes, I am a praise and worship singer from childhood, actually.
Wow.
Started very, very young and have been singing in church for as long as I can remember. Not just church, but that's where it started.
You
My
guys
roots.
have to come visit us and hear her sing.
Oh, boy.
Or if you can't, you can go check out our church website, our
Oh,
YouTube.
right.
And you can see her there, hear her sing, guys. So,
It comes with preaching on that one, too, though. If you attend or
Yes.
visit via website, you get the word and good worship. So
Yes.
we invite you to stop by on YouTube.
yes. You said you've been singing since you were young?
Very young. I think I didn't really know I could sing, but I did. In the church growing up, if you sang, it's almost like it's not a rarity. It's not something that's rare.
Really?
No, not in the atmosphere in the church that I grew up in. A lot of people sang. A lot of it's really not uncommon to be a good singer.
Wow.
Yeah, I grew up in a gospel,
Okay.
Church of God in Christ, Pentecostal, and if you didn't sing, it was almost something abnormal. So as a young girl, I can remember singing as early as maybe 4 years old. We had what was called the Sunshine Band. And I think when I started getting a little older, after kindergarten and first and second grade, I would sing in school. And I started hearing teachers saying to me, "Oh my gosh, you have such a cute, pretty voice." And I didn't think because no one made a big deal
Oh, okay.
of it.
Because everyone's
Everyone sang it was, and I would lead songs. I didn't think I was an exceptional singer. I mean, I didn't think I had anything any different than what everyone else had until I was maybe in 5th or 6th grade, actually.
Oh, wow.
And I was extremely nervous to try out for the glee club at school. And a friend and I, Cheryl Patrick, if memory shares, she's going to hate that I even brought her into this, but she's still my friend from grammar school.
Hi.
But if memory serves me correctly, she was the one who tried out. We did a lot of things together, and I was so nervous that I wouldn't make it. I was so nervous, and I sang, and that was actually the very first time that someone really stopped, the tracks and said, "Wait a minute, you really can sing." And I thought, I can? So needless to say, I made it, but I wasn't expecting to necessarily. I did not realize that my voice, my particular voice, my gift was really a gift.
Yeah, well, it's you sing so amazing every time you lead
Thank
worship.
you.
I'm like, oh my goodness! Like the very first time we attended the church and we saw you worship, I think I cried because it was like so lovely. You can
Thank
feel
you.
the Holy Spirit.
Do you remember
when you're
the
singing.
song?
I don't remember. I don't remember the song. I wish I did, but yeah. All right, so we have a fun treat for you guys today. We're actually going to be crafting and talking.
Yeah.
Do you want to show them what we're going to be doing?
Yeah. So another fun fact, I'm a crafter.
I love it.
And I sing sometimes while I craft. And I talk while I craft.
Wow. Are we
which-
going to have a sample of
well,
your singing? If we're going to have your crafting
it's-
and your talking?
Yeah. Maybe it just depends on what's going on,
Yeah.
up here, and and I that's gonna eventually play into our conversation is the singing, the talking, the crafting, what goes on in my craft room, really.
Oh, nice.
Between me, the crafts, God, the singing, it's like one of my favorite thing. I think it is probably at the very top of my favorite things to do.
So we're kind of getting a little bit or a lot of you in
I
in
guess
this
so.
moment.
Yeah.
That's
I
kinda
love to
neat.
create. There's not too many things that I don't get into as far as crafting. And so we had a craft day for the women a few weeks ago at our church, and I was asked to be one of the
The leader,
one of the
lead crafter.
instructors, I guess.
Instructor.
Yeah,
Yes,
lead,
yeah.
to lead a craft.
Yeah. Okay. Yes,
That's a good way of
yes.
putting it. And so I came up with this. I love working with wood, and I love decoupage. And so can you see this? Can they see
Yes.
this? Okay. So I'm going to lift this up for a moment. So this was the craft that we did, and we had there were 3 of us, and I think we had such a great turnout. Maybe there were 30 women. I had about 20
There were a lot,
myself
yeah.
that signed up for this class, and we had a beading class, beading on black velvet. That was Debbie was doing that one, and then we had Rhonda doing stamping and beautiful cards, and I did the two-sided, a twofer board that was really easy. It's paint and decoupage and just putting together a messy bow, and we had a lot of fun that day. Put this back
It's so
for you to-
beautiful. I'm so excited.
doing this project, and we had such a great turnout, and Joy was so busy with doing other things that day, and and she was also part, but she didn't get a chance to do her own, so we thought, what a great thing to introduce while we have our
Yes,
chat.
yes.
And so this is what we're going to delve into.
Yes.
This is just simple decoupage. It's a simple napkin that you see right here that gets transferred onto that board and makes such a pretty holiday festive decoration.
And I'm going to write down all the things. We might not be telling you everything that you need, but I'm going to list them. That way, if you decide you want to make it, you can. And we're going to be doing the Thanksgiving or the fall
The fall side, yeah.
side. But pretty much, if you actually enjoy it, you can use this and make every season, right?
Oh yeah, you
You
could
can just use-
you could do any type of wood. I make signs, big signs, little signs, medium size. You can, and it just takes a little paint, and decoupage glue, and as simple as a napkin.
Yeah, I know.
folks.
That's why I was thinking when I first saw the this, what do you call it?
It's really like a cutting
A craft-
board.
yeah.
And most people display this in their kitchen.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, it's like the paddle board style of a cutting board, but you
Yes.
can use any. This one is different than the one we're going to use, actually. This one is more,
like just square, huh?
yeah, it looks more kitcheny. It's
Yeah.
more, it's got a little more substance, but
Yeah.
you can use anything of your, I enjoyed using this one because of the thickness of it. It's not too thick, and it's very lightweight, but you could choose what you want.
Which one? Okay. And so while we do the craft, I'm gonna be asking her some questions, and we're just gonna chat, and it'll be kind of a little bit fun, and you guys get to learn about the crafting and the talking, and maybe she'll give us a little bit of that singing sample. All right. So let's see. So what should we do first as far as the art?
Okay.
I mean this.
So I've pre-painted this. This board came pretty natural color. It's like a pine looking color. And for the sake of time, I pre-painted this particular. You can use any paint, preferably it should be a dark paint. You could use a brown, a gray. You could even use black. And you first thing you do after this is dry, This is Dixie Belle Gravel Road, by the way. If you happen to like this color, it is my favorite.
So you can choose any other color.
Oh, you can use and by the way, the paint that I use, I'll use an acrylic or a chalk. I like to use water based paints because it cleans up really well. Folk art, you can go as elaborate as a Dixie Belle or Annie Sloan chalk paint, or you can use a Walmart. It's your preference. If you're really into paints, you might have a variety. So any paint. Enough of that, right?
All right.
And so what you do after you've got your base coat on is this is a white linen. Any kind of white will do. It's white linen by Dixie Belle. I guess you know now that I love Dixie Belle paints.
We're looking for sponsorship.
Yeah. Oh, and we're all over the place, so excuse us because this is, I think, our first time. Well, this is definitely our first time doing it together.
Yeah.
And my first time doing it ever.
Yeah.
And so, along with a craft, so we're very
newbies. We're newbies,
and we're adventurous. That we're gonna do this all for the first time.
Yes.
We're not at all kind of.
I wouldn't know how to do it by myself now.
Yeah.
This is so much fun. Okay.
Gloves is a real important, unless you like getting paint, but
paint all over.
But it's easy cleanup because it's water based. So
which of the one should I use?
you want this is called a chip brush.
Oh, okay.
A chip brush is the cheapest, probably one of the cheapest brushes. It's really, what do you call it? Just kind of chippy. It's chippy.
Oh, okay.
You know, it's uneven and it requires. So we're just gonna kind of distress and dust this. And
with the paint.
Here's the secret: you don't want to load too much paint.
Oh, not
so
much. Okay.
I load the paint and then I load it off. I usually have a napkin or something, but I'm just gonna use our there we go, our craft pad. And it's Joy and I talked about what this actually is, and it's not one of those tucks, for like a I don't know, for like a hospital bed. It's actually leftover from our dog's potty training. She was potty trained within days, and so we're just stuck with a whole bunch of these, and I use them for my crafts.
I love it because you know what? Like, to do the craft, you don't really need to spend so much money, right? Like, that's the thing.
You don't.
You use whatever that you have.
Especially for something like this, it's going to get thrown away. You have
Yes.
something like this, you use it.
Yes, exactly. Okay, give me 1 second.
So-
Let me just close the door.
Okay. So the dogs heard us talking about me potty training my dog, I guess, and it just decided to chime in. You can lightly dust, or it's really not stroke, I guess. So here, I'm just going to go for it.
We're just doing it in one direction,
You just,
right?
you're
one
up
direction.
and down, and if this doesn't seem to suit your fancy,
Oh, the top also.
yeah, you want to distress the whole thing. And I normally do both sides at a time, but for the sake of time, we're not. So you
we'll
just do this long, and you can, if that's not enough,
Then I can put more.
When we did the class, I had a few ladies that really wanted a lot, and a few that didn't want that much. I am more of I don't put a whole lot, but I love the way it looks like that. I love the way that looks.
But I also like that it shows the gray or like the
It's
back
going to show
color.
the gray no matter what.
Oh, it
You're going to
is.
see
Okay.
it, you're going to see it unless you just really load your brush and, and it's just a chip brush. It's just haphazardly get it on there. And that's really good enough for me. That's pretty much about all I do.
Okay, let me do mine a little bit more. So I have the first question here.
Yeah.
So the reason why our first time here in this podcast really wanted to talk about you wanting to possibly starting your own podcast.
Yeah.
And can you tell us about it? That name you would call, or just tell our viewers, our listeners, what you would like it to be.
Well, before I'll explain the name that I don't think I even came up with it because I couldn't come up with anything on my own. It just came to me. And I thought, let's see, I'm always censoring myself, so excuse me. Like I think about what do I want to divulge,
And that's probably one of the reasons why the reservation that we were talking about, like why you wouldn't want to start, right? 'Cause
right,
there's like things that why you want to start one, and there's some things that's stopping you from
right.
starting one.
So I months ago, this past year actually, a few things happened this year that kind of put me in a place where I felt like I really needed some really serious help, assistance with just kind of navigating through some life changes. And a lot of times my craft room, it stems from my craft room, and I go in there and I talk. I sometimes talk to God. I ask questions, and I realized at some point, which was pretty much a breaking point, that I wanted to be better and to get better. And some things I've dealt with all my life that I can remember that I'm just kind of tired of dealing with.
Yeah.
And I wanted to seek professional help, which I did. It's not the first time I did, but this was the first time that I did it with such urgency and such determination to make a difference in my life. And so I one night I was in my craft room and I was crafting and I was talking as if I was talking to you like I'm doing now. And I thought I should chronicle my journey.
Yeah.
And so that's where the name came from. And I'm a little nervous, and I could remember it any other time, but since I'm on the spot, I'm going to have to read it. It's so I think I would like to do a podcast. This is what my idea was, to do a podcast in my craft room while doing crafts, because I'm often doing crafts and talking about my issues, things that I've discussed with a therapist that are helping me navigate through this much needed transition of the way I think, the way I process, the way I live. And so the name I came up with for that is The Journey to Inner Healing, because that's really what it is. A lot of things we go through in life from childhood that impact the way we think, the way we operate, the way we speak, the way we react, based on critical times in our lives when things that may have happened that impact us. So
Especially being young,
yes,
and not being able to talk about it and not understanding what's happening,
Right,
right? Like
right.
as a kid, you don't really know what's going on.
you don't really know, and you accept, what else is there left to do but to accept things the way they are. And so my idea was, while I'm crafting, while I'm talking, why not talk to people who I could possibly maybe impact my experience, and make, hopefully people, will realize that they're not the only ones. Because for many, many years of my life, I thought I'm the only one that must feel like this. There's got to be something wrong with me, because I would look at other people and I couldn't see what I knew was going on with me. And then I realized, well, other people can't see what's going on with me either, because I am such a chameleon that I hide what's going on with me. So why shouldn't I think that other people are doing the same thing?
Yeah.
And so my journey to inner healing and getting past the past is what came to me as an appropriate title.
I love it. I love the title. It's, what is it called? What was the
My journey to inner healing, getting past the past. And
that would be what she would call her podcast.
yeah,
I think she should.
Yeah.
So
Some
you
of that,
guys can start praying about that. I think that
yeah,
it would be a good healing for you as well as I think for the viewers. Like you
right.
said, you don't know that sometimes you think that you're alone, that you're experiencing things in life and you're by yourself, but it takes another person too to speak up and then it will heal the other person.
Yeah, and I hid behind my psychological issues. And what I mean by that is extreme, and extreme today, which wasn't as extreme maybe 5, 6 years ago, has gotten me to this point where I don't want to live the rest of my life. I'm 61 next week. And I want whatever's left of my life to be free of worry and distress and anxiety. And I know that comes with life normally, but when it's extreme, it's all you know. It's your only way of living, really. And it's almost, to me, it's almost like being trapped in a
Wow.
cycle, and not being able to like get off of this treadmill of the way that I've been conditioned to think and feel a certain way for pretty much the 61 years I can't speak about anything that happened before I can remember.
Yeah.
But as far as I can remember, that's been the pattern for me. And so with the help of a wonderful therapist that I have been paired with, I'm actually going through a book that's called Healing the Inner Child,
Wow.
or Healing from Within. So part of that title comes from this process, and following me on the journey, and hopefully I can help someone.
Yeah.
I was very hesitant to embark on this because of my own, I don't know, because of the image that I would now be, letting the cat out the bag, not being that person that most people see most of the time.
Yeah, I think too with women, we I don't know about other women, but I know a lot of women, we like to be in control of things, right? As much as we can. And so even our image as well. So when people know you, especially the ones that really they don't know you too personally, you have this I don't know, like forward or something that you bring yourself forward.
Right.
And then you don't show your whole you.
Right.
And then so now it's being vulnerable and actually little by little introducing that to other people, especially in a podcast where, people don't know you sometimes like at all.
Right.
And you're trying
So
to
this is
be
what
vulnerable.
yeah. Right.
That's a scary position to be in. And do you feel like that's like is your healing including God in it, or is that
Absolutely. As a matter of fact, and this is not something that I really sought after, but it just so turned out that the person that I am partnered with, my therapist, she's actually a Christian.
wow?
And
I was
I'm going to
wondering
be
about
honest
that.
with you, that is not something I wanted initially. And most people were like, what? You're a Christian, you're a pastor's wife, and you didn't want someone to counsel you that's also Christian? And,
That's
there's
good,
so
though.
many, some things I'm starting to talk about that I'm thinking, oh, you shouldn't talk about that yet. But, I'm just going to talk as things come to me, because I prayed about it and I asked God to give me what to say and what was appropriate to say, because I overthink things. A lot of people that have anxiety, and they overthink things, and that's where the anxiety comes from. And well, I can't say this because I don't want to offend this person. And if I talk
Yeah.
too much, the people that know me well might not appreciate it. But I've got to let God take care of all of that.
Amen.
And
Yep.
and speak my truth. I told Joy when we met several months ago, we kind of had a little interview of each other, kind of, and I said, I don't ever want to speak of something in my life, in my past, that might impact others that were involved or were a part of it. So I try to choose what I say very carefully. And however, my endeavor is to be better, is to live better, to feel better, to live with happiness. I have a wonderful husband of almost 42 years, and we were children
Aw.
together in church. And together we have two beautiful children who have beautiful lives, beautiful families, five wonderful, beautiful, intelligent. What else can I say about my grandbabies? I can think of so many grandchildren.
Beautiful
and
family.
when I talk about myself and the way I operate and the way I navigate through life with depression and anxiety and darkness, a lot of times I ask myself, what are you doing here with this happy life that you have? Most people on the outside looking in would think she has no reason to ever be depressed. But it doesn't have anything to do with people's circumstance all the time. You could be in the most happiest atmosphere and lifestyle that, you could think of it. Why do, movie stars and celebrities, why do they end up being alcoholics and drug addicts, and because of the depression and the anxiety? It's not about what you have, and it's really not always about who surrounds you. It's about what goes on internally, and a lot of it is spirit driven.
Yeah.
And I've been in church all my life, and I'm learning some things about God, about myself, about relationship, about religion versus relationship.
Yes, amen.
And I am awakened by some of the things that I am learning, but just because I'm allowing myself to be open for the first time to embarking on healing myself and being a better person to me first.
Yes.
And to God first, actually. And to me, because what good am I to God if I've got all of these hang-ups? What good am I to you or you if I, can't be okay with myself?
Yes. And I've heard, I'm sure you probably heard a lot of times, it's the test becomes your testimony. And if you're not willing to say that, even if it's painful to say, being vulnerable, it closes you to your testimony, to give out to other people that they can help, that it can help. And so I like that. It's hard being vulnerable, I feel, as for women.
Risky too, I think.
Risky.
Yeah.
And now, not just being vulnerable to one-on-one, but to other people that don't know you,
Right.
people that is you guys.
For most of us women, and I'm talking to whoever is viewing this, but of course I'm a woman and I'm a pastor's wife, and so I could speak from the side of a woman. And we as women, we have so many responsibilities that we really kind of shove our stuff to the back. We deal with us when everybody's asleep, when there's no one else around, when we can let our hair down, so to speak. Then we deal with us. But it's always, kept in secret.
Always later. And the later doesn't even happen that day. Later can be
how
many years later, or when your kids become parents themselves. That's how much later sometimes can happen.
Later also, because we've got to be on pretty much all the time. So whatever's going on internally, psychologically, and sometimes physically,
Yeah.
we just push through it. And, we don't want our kids to see, this is me talking. When I say we, I'm assuming it's not just me. But we don't want, we have to be on for our kids. And I'm talking the younger mother, Venetia, as a younger mother. When my kids were home, we can't let our kids see us fall to pieces. We got to do that in our own time and in private. But what so many women need is, first of all, and this is something I spoke to my therapist about just recently, our last session. She asked me a question: what are you doing for self-care? And self-care, it could mean going to the spa or going to get your nails done or a pedicure. And I do all that, right? I do that. But the self-care that I need right now is learning how to really care internally about myself and my condition, and the way I operate and the way I move, and my days being filled with joy and happiness. Am I thinking I'm, in la la land? No. I know that life happens, but
I think too, over time, the enemy's just putting words and you accept those lies.
Yeah.
And then now with the healing, God is taking away those layers little by little. Sometimes you don't want those layers taken away, but God's like, you don't need this. I know
you
who
get
you
complacent.
are.
You get complacent in that. And the enemy knows that, oh, this is her usual, and this is the way she's been for 60 years. Why would she ever change, right? And
then
shocker,
you accept that, right?
you accept it. That, This is the way I am. Have you ever said that to yourself? This is just the way I am. Well, I'm not satisfied with the way I am. And as of today, I could say was, because I'm actually making progress. I am actually walking into some things that I've never felt before and never thought I could feel, a newness. And I told my therapist last week, I said, I don't think I could have ever said, I know that I haven't turned a corner. I know that I'm not even near the corner, but I am so definitely moved away from where I was.
Wow.
And so there's movement getting to that corner, and I'm going to turn it. But the happiest thing the smallest accomplishment of moving out of that place that you've been stuck in for so long is so worth celebrating. And it's so much evidence. It's so evident to yourself that it can be done. Just that little movement. I moved. I am not back there where I was and where I sat for all of these years, day in and day out. Smiling through Christmases, smiling through Thanksgiving, smiling through pain.
Yes.
Smiling so that I could always be
moving
and who everyone wants me to be. And now I'm not there, because I'm actually saying no to some things. I never say no.
That's good.
I never want to let anybody down.
Yeah.
And so
I heard a song the other day, and I really loved it. And this Hawaiian guy, and he's like dreadlock, like kind of rapping, I guess. But he was saying, progress, not perfection. Progress, not perfection. That's where we're striving for, is that we're making progress. We're not really going for perfection, because we can never be Jesus. We're moving forward with him, but we're making progress.
Yeah.
With you, with the healing part, you're making progress.
Yeah, and part of my big mistake, I think, was the way I thought I knew God. I thought I knew him to be something totally different.
That's like profound, only because I know that you said in the beginning that you grew up in church, right? And I think that's part of the healing, and also a testimony for people, because that's why I feel like your story is going to be amazing. I'm excited for it. I'm gonna be praying
I'm
about
petrified.
And I'm excited to hear from you and what you're gonna say. And I just, even now, like, loving this moment, and I'm like, wow, I like be just on the side and listen to you talk?
Well, I've noticed what you've been doing while I've been talking, and
Yes.
that is so spot on. We're going to show you what she's been doing, and what I got sidetracked, of course, talking about things. And so we were putting this to the side to dry, which is completely dry. And Joy went ahead. She's such a good student. And she did the next step.
I think so. I think
Yes, she
this
did.
is okay.
She
Awesome.
took the napkin from this to, can you show yours? To the cutout version. And that's what we've got to do, is kind of try our best to get
as much of that white part.
yeah,
out?
the
Okay.
negative space, I
The
guess you would
negative,
call
okay.
it. And so she's really ready to add her glue. This is where the decoupage part comes in.
Oh,
And
okay.
one thing I want to add is these napkins usually come in 3-ply or 2-ply. The better ones, like this one, this is the other side that we're going to do. It's different from the example. The example is a Father Christmas with some poinsettias, but this one, we're going to do that later, and maybe we'll show you in another segment. We don't have time today, but this
You
one,
say there's gonna be another.
yeah,
segment?
maybe, yeah,
Okay.
maybe at my house or back here, whatever, another craft session. And so this is the kind, if you're into the craft too, as much as a conversation, this is the kind you would get from a decoupage online store or a craft store that sells them specific for decoupage. You can also use rice paper. There's just a whole another world. And as I do podcasts, once I get up more nerve than I have now, and we'll explore into that. But
I have
getting
a
back to
question
this-
for this one. So if I see like usually with every season they bring a napkin, right?
Yes.
Can you use any of those, or do you have
This
to have
is any
specific-
of those.
Oh, okay.
This is a store-bought one.
Oh, okay, I see.
Sometimes, like this one on the reverse side, was also a store-bought one. And sometimes when there's really, I can just get back in the mic here, when there's really a lot of reds, where the dyes are, when you get them saturated with decoupage glue and things, they can tend to run. I do have secrets. I've been doing decoupage a long time. Secrets to how to get rid of those runs and everything.
Oh, okay.
But for people who are not as into it as I am, that don't want to deal with all that, trying to fix all that, you'd want to buy napkins that are specific to decoupage.
okay.
And these are decoupage. This is not, but I know by looking at these colors, they're not going to run. They're muted colors. There's not a lot of saturation of ink. And so they come, this one's 2-ply.
Okay.
When you cut your project out, you want to keep it 2-ply. It's not until you're just about ready to apply it to your board that you want to separate the plies.
Ooh.
Reason being is when you're cutting, you don't want it to be as thin and fragile, because then you risk
Oh.
a lot of tearing.
So there's 2 in here that I need to
There
take
is
out.
2.
Oh.
And if you hand me your little,
This one?
the other one with the blue tape.
Okay.
Normally I would have some tape, but I'm going to use the tape here that I've labeled paint, so that Joy would know the difference and I would know the difference between paint and glue. And you can I'll demonstrate on this one. You could put a piece of tape just like this on the back and peel forward. And that tape is going to allow you to peel your back off.
Oh, I see.
So
Amazing.
I'm going to give you, so use that end.
Okay.
And you want to find a spot where, don't do this. You want to find a spot where the least amount of cutting has taken place.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So she's going to separate her layers. Sometimes it's a little tricky getting started.
Is it okay if it like a little tear?
Yeah, you can
okay.
always fix it. And then you there you have it. You just kind of take your time with it. If you need a little stick to maybe help you kind of separate it.
Is this what the stick is for? Or
No.
Is it, oh, okay.
I had
I'm
that
like, wow.
stick. I had a couple of sticks to stir the paint,
Yes.
So yeah, it gets really easy to do. It's really not as tedious and fragile as it seems, but you don't want to just rip it off like a Band-Aid. So there's where you want to be a little, exactly. You did it.
Oh my
You have
goodness.
successfully. So
Okay.
you're going to put that to the side, and we're going to get to the Mod Podge.
Okay.
So normally, if we wouldn't have been talking so much, I would have had her already apply the decoupage.
Okay.
This is decoupage, and I put some in your little container. This is what I use. There's all kinds of mediums. If you're already a decoupager, I don't even know if that's a word, but you might have a different medium. I kind of like this one.
That brand
I'm
or
not
that-
opposed. This brand. I'm not
okay.
opposed to trying something
other
different.
Do I need to mix this or is
No.
it- okay, and I'm using.
I learned how to decoupage when I was in grammar school, so I have been doing it a long time, and so I've used regular Elmer's glue back then.
Oh wow.
There was no such thing as decoupage. And you want to just take that decoupage, and I mean you want to up and down on your board.
Like the
and
whole board, like I did, or just the area.
The whole
The whole
board.
board?
The
Okay.
reason why you want to do the whole board, even though you're not going to put a napkin on the whole board, your decoupage, this is matte, but it is going to give you a little bit of a sheen, and you don't want part of your board to have a sheen, and you want it to look even so it doesn't hurt. Put it all over the whole board.
Okay, pause.
And so you really, really want to make sure you've got that glue everywhere. So I do kind of like a cross
Oh, okay. So
hatch.
this time I can
just
do
kind of
like
go
a-
back. I just want to make sure that whatever I missed going vertically, I catch it going horizontally. And then I just set it to the side. After that, to dry, then I go back and cut my napkin and talk some more.
Okay, that's my next question.
So also
or is there anything you want to add?
You do want to you can catch this up later, but later you could also take your white and just kind of chip around the sides
Oh, okay.
too, because
The side
eventually
too.
both sides of the board are going to be done, and then you want your sides done too. So after you've done your first coat, you're going to sit that to the side and let it dry.
Just like that.
Just like that. And I generally do, you can do 2 coats is recommended, but I overkill everything. I'm an overdoer. And so I do 3 coats. But when we did the class, I had all the women do 2 coats and it was perfect. So Venetia, why do you do 3 coats? Because I get obsessed with things and I overdo it. And that's just, I like to do things very well.
Okay.
So-
but is it like any purpose, or is it because does it hold the thing?
Well, I
more,
can
or-
tell you that for me, I just that third sweep is just in case you missed something somewhere.
Oh, okay.
But I have watched videos. I am mostly self-taught, but I do like to watch videos and get ideas from other people. And some do 3 coats. So I'm not the only one.
Okay.
I
think
I'm
did
not the
3
only.
coats.
Well, that's your first coat.
Oh.
Wet, it's all wet.
Oh, okay, so I
there's-
can't-
Yeah, it can't be your second coat or your third coat until the first one's dry.
Oh, I see. I get it now. I
Yeah.
thought like one and then do it again. And
No, that's still. You could sit here all day and just keep adding to that first coat. It's still your first coat. It's not just. It won't be your second until it dries.
Oh, okay.
And
how long does it take to dry?
it won't take long. Ideally, I walk away, go do something else, go do some chores. I usually have lots of projects going at once. I'll set it to the side, or if I'm in a rush. And what we did at the church is I had some heat guns.
Oh, okay.
And I did bring one, but I think people get the idea.
Yeah.
You can take the heat gun. Now, one thing about decoupage is heat activate it. It will melt it.
Oh.
It will loosen it. So but when it's wet, it will dry. But if you add heat to it once it's dry, it's going to reactivate that glue.
Oh, so it's
which will explain why instead of when we put our napkin onto the decoupage, we're going to put it on with heat.
Oh, okay.
And so the decoupage is going to be allowed to dry completely. Our design, in case we don't get to do this on tape, our design, I don't want to leave people hanging. Our design will go on the dry decoupage.
After the third
or the second. Yeah, whichever one you prefer. And then a piece of parchment paper goes on top, and a hot iron will reactivate this glue, and it will become tacky again underneath your napkin. And the napkin is going to almost look like it's seared, as you can see, into the wood.
Oh, okay.
That's the process.
Can they use any, because I know I can show them your cute little
yes,
iron. I'll show you right now.
I have a cute little iron that I use for small projects. I have a heat press for larger objects, a larger iron. This is the little mini iron.
Cute. I mean, you definitely have a crafter.
And it's I have all kind of little gadgets. And this one is so good because a lot of people have this that craft, because this little corner here gets into, the little wood corners here, and it's just perfect. And then, if you want to just do a section that maybe didn't adhere properly, you're not reactivating the rest of it, you could just get a little section. So it's ideal for that. You could use any heat iron or press or anything, but this is my go-to
I mean, like,
favorite.
if you really want to be into crafting, especially when you start to watch her, you might want one.
A couple of my grandbabies thought that, because I have so many things. I have 4 granddaughters and 1 grandson, so the girls are always looking around in my craft room, and they're always trying to see what. Of course, they've got everything in their grandkids room, because they have a grandchildren's room with everything at their disposal. But for some reason, they like to come and see what's miniature in my craft room. And that one of my granddaughters said, "Oh, is this supposed to be in our room? This little iron, because it looks like a toy."
So cute. I love it.
So
okay, so after the heating part goes in, right? Like after we iron it. And you do more decoupage? Is that what you said? No.
Yes.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Yes. Once that completely dries, you will seal the whole project in with one more coat.
One more coat.
Yes.
And then after that?
Then after that, you add all the embellishments.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And this is the one that she chose for the...
Yeah, this is a messy bow. It's just a lot of different ribbons. You cannot mess up a messy bow because it's a messy bow. So,
did you cut those yourself, or did you buy it?
Yes, I actually pre-cut these for this project, and I cut them a little longer than usual because I wanted to give the ladies an opportunity to make them the length they want it. They might want them short. This little spoon, isn't this cute?
It's super cute.
Yeah, I'm hiding these from the grandbabies. They haven't seen these yet. A little button that just adorns the spoon, and this is the ribbon. This here, Joy, is something really, if you look at the sample here, it is also a napkin with glue.
Oh, wow. So you how do you call that? Decoupage?
Yeah, well, you decoupage, you glue this on with the decoupage.
Oh.
And once it's glued, really completely glued and dry, you take a lighter, fire, and you light the end of it and you watch it just burn around the letters and inside of the holes. And it will only,
Oh.
I don't know if we'll get to that, but maybe in a future segment.
Yes.
But it is a really, really neat trick. I have a large thankful at my house that I
That you did?
with the decoupage that you could just do a large happy holidays. You could whatever you want. You can put the decoupage napkins, just napkins, folks. That's it, and a lighter, and it lights and burns everywhere where there is not
Wow.
glue.
And it's really, it adds to it too. I mean, I was thinking if it's just plain like that, but
Yeah,
it's so beautiful.
It's using the same napkin. It coordinates. I've done lots and lots of snowflakes and different. You could just any kind of little wood or even. I've never tried metal, but I've seen these in metal, and I don't know.
Oh.
I'll try it, but why wouldn't that work? I don't know. I haven't tried it yet, but I'm sure it would. So we probably won't get to that with all that we have to do this morning.
Yes.
But I plan on making another one of these, maybe my first podcast, and maybe we could
Yeah.
pick up where we left off.
Yeah,
maybe
that'd be good.
Maybe you could be my first guest.
Yes.
Okay.
I love it. Okay, so what do we have? That I like. Advice you were told that you still hold dear, and advice you would give to moms with small kids, just like myself.
I thought about the advice part for moms.
For moms, okay,
So
for
I was a
moms.
mom your age once. My daughter's 40. My son is 33. And so it's been a while since I've been a young mom. But, I learned something. Gosh, you always learn as you go. And one thing that I get tripped up on things that I look back and think I should have done that better. I could have done that better. And one thing that I always say is I could have been a better mom. And I say it to my kids a lot, and my kids are like, "Oh my God, Mom." No, and I've asked my kids a few times, is there anything, because I have these things here, this question, if one of my parents were to ask me this question,
Aw.
I wouldn't give them an earful, but I would have an earful of things that I don't want to say mistakes. I wouldn't say that, but we do make mistakes.
We do make
as parents. You're not going to bat 100 as a parent. And for me, I grew up in a time where you didn't ask questions of your parents. You just did what you were told. And if you said why, well, that could get you in because I said so. So what do we do as parents when we are parents? We mimic the way we were raised. And at first I, kind of went along with the things that the way I was raised. And I'm not saying that there was anything wrong with, well, I'm not really saying it verbatim, but the way I was raised. But, there's some things that you look at, from another point of view of another generation.
Yeah.
And there are certain things that you decide, this is going to stop here.
Yeah.
Right? This is going to stop here. And so one thing that I would encourage parents to do is listen to your kids. There's really nothing that is better to me for you and your kids than to listen to them. Even if it's something that you need to correct or work on with them, don't dismiss them. They may have something very important they need to share with you. And the one thing that I caught myself very early on is because I said so. I completely diminished that part of my vocabulary to my kids.
Wow.
Because I said so is just not a good enough answer. And that's the way I was raised. You do as you're told. You don't ask questions. And when you're already set into that space that's the space. You're not going to feel okay with coming to your parents with anything.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. I had a similar upbringing too, to where I couldn't challenge my parents, and it was said it's because I said so. You have to follow, and it gave me kind of a sort of a way that I couldn't say things like you said. I felt like
You're
no
stifled.
courage to speak up
Right.
when something is wrong or anything or anything that's good or anything that's wrong. I couldn't speak up. I couldn't say it. And so I think it gives no opportunity for the kids to do that.
I don't know who coined the phrase children should be seen and not heard, but that could not be further from the truth. That is not realistic,
Yeah.
especially today. Even yesterday, when I was growing up, there's a lot of things more to talk about now. But there was probably just as much to talk about then. Just we didn't feel comfortable talking about it because we were supposed to be seen and not heard. I have said that phrase when I was a young mom. I used to say that over and over, and I thought I got to one point. I'm like, that's crazy. I want to hear what my kids have to say. Some of it might not be, some of it might be sassiness or some of it. Well, then you correct it. You correct what needs to be corrected, but don't ever not listen to them. I think if there's anything I could say, there's a lot I could say, but
listen to her podcast.
Off the top,
we're encouraging.
Well, there
her.
are a lot of things that I wish that I would have done differently.
Yeah.
And I talk to my kids now at 40 and 33. And I have actually asked my kids a few times, is there anything that, your dad and I, specifically me, because he's so great.
We do love Pastor.
He's great. He's a great dad. Very even, know. Me, not so much. But
I always think if Pastor is the way he is at church, if that's the way he is.
That's the way he was as a little boy.
Wow.
I mean it. He was the most mature 8-year-old, 9-year-old. He asked me to marry him when I was 13, so he was 14. Of course, I said no. I would have no part of it. But
look at you now. Huh?
Yeah. But I getting back. I did. I've asked my kids a few times. Is that my daughter came up with? I missed a few of her track meets. That was. I said that's and it really devastated her. We've gone through some of her adulthood, and I would tell her now, I would tell her, I don't want to hear you tell me that anymore. I've already suffered and said I'm sorry. But to be honest with you, I really kind of wish that would be all I would have had to say too.
Yeah. Then you're like, then I'm okay.
I tell my kids, no, that's not it. That's and that's what don't spare my feelings. What did I do really horrible that you can remember? And because I tried not to.
Yeah.
That was another thing that I worried about is my kids being happy and not resenting me.
Yeah.
When they grew up. And as a result, I have very, very loving children.
Aww.
And their spouses, and they're raising their kids to be that way.
Yeah.
And so I'm starting to let myself off the hook a little bit.
Yeah. And then now it's your turn to heal from everything that,
And they're on the journey with me.
Yeah.
That's family, nice. I'm not doing this by myself. I'm encouraged by Spencer and Ashley and Don, and whether the grandkids, Cecilia, Ava, Zoe, Chloe, and William. We call him BW for Baby Will because he's Will the fifth. Fifth, yeah. And so they're helping me too, indirectly, whether they don't realize it because they're so young too, but they help me.
Yeah.
And so I couldn't ask for a better support team. And of course, you and the church. The women of the church that I've shared things with, and that was part of my notes is the church.
Yeah.
What a loving church I've been in a lot of churches.
Yeah, we do have.
We've
such
been through a
awesome
lot of
church.
church hurt.
Yeah.
And I think it's maybe 13 years, maybe we've been, maybe 14 at Grace. I'm not sure. I think we're definitely over 10. Don's going in his 4th year of pastoring there. But there was just that there's been a difference. We've been there so long because it's the longest, other than the church we grew up, it's the longest
Wow.
membership. That was partially because of the military and moving around, but it's just the people are. The one word that came to me the very first time I went there, that it's still the same word that I describe the church, is love and freedom.
Oh, I
The
love
love from the people and the freedom, free of judgment.
that. Yeah.
You know, people are going to be people.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say 100%, but you get a sense of freedom to worship without
Yes.
a whole lot of other stuff.
Yes. I do feel that with our church, and we really appreciate you and Pastor Don. And so, wow,
Wow, we do it?
we did.
Yeah. So we're gonna go back and put our second coat on, and then we're gonna finish this up, and hopefully in another segment we can show
the
end
finished
result.
product
Yeah,
and
yeah.
everything.
I enjoyed this.
This is really fun.
Whew.
Phew. Well, thanks for hanging out with us, guys. Like she said, we would love, right? We would love to meet together again and
For sure.
and finish this off and have a little bit more chat. And so, thank you for being with us, and we hope that's helpful. And give us some comment and anything feedback. Be nice, be kind, and we just really appreciate this. And God bless you guys.
Bye-bye. Thanks for having me. Next time I may sing. But
Yeah. Oh, that's right.
Next time.
Next time.
Next
Okay.
time. Stay tuned. That'll give you a reason to come back.
Yes.
Okay.